All right, lesson 11.2. So in our previous lesson, we introduced the 5 3D shapes that we are focusing on for this chapter. And we had a cylinder, a cone, sphere, rectangular prism, and a cube. Now, after this first page today, we are going to be focusing mainly on our rectangular prism and our cube. But this first page here on page 711 says, circle the cones, draw an X on the sphere. So you're going to circle your cones, and you are going to draw an X on the sphere. All right, next page, 712. Okay, so we are introducing some more vocabulary words at the top here. So this lesson, 11.2, is actually called attributes of three-dimensional shapes. So what that means is kind of like properties or specific things about these shapes that we're going to talk about. So we are focusing on 3 things that describe our rectangular prism and our cube. And those 3 things are faces, edges, and vertices. Or the singular way to say them would be face, edge, vertex. But if you ever hear them, or if the book, or if your math paper ever says vertices, that's just the plural form of vertex. So it just means more than one vertex. So the first thing is a face. So the face of a cube or rectangular prism, your face is just like your flat surface. So if you look, we have a flat surface here, here, the bottom, the back here, and then a side and a side. So our cube is made up of 6 faces, okay, 6 flat surfaces. And then the next thing we're talking about are our edges. And your edges are where the 2 faces meet. So I'm going to just hold my cube like this. I'm not going to move it around. So edges are where your 2 faces meet. So if we have a face here and a face here, this is the edge where they meet, right along this spot. So if we were to count our edges, we're going to start with all the tops first. So here's an edge, 1, 2, this back edge is 3, side edge over here is 4. And then we have 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we have down here 9, 10, the back one's 11, and over here on the side is 12. So our cube has 12 edges. Your edge is where your 2 faces meet. All right? And then our last word or words we're talking about, a vertex is your corner. So your vertices, and it kind of tells you right over here, are your corners. So because of course this will have more than one vertex, we will count how many vertices are on here. So your vertices are your corners right here. Okay, so I'm going to hold it still again and we're going to count. So we've got a vertex here, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so quick review. Your faces are your flat surfaces. Your edges are where your faces meet. So like right here, along here, right here. And then your vertices are your corners. So that's where your edges meet. It's kind of your pokey corners of your shape. All right, so those are our 3 words we're focusing on: face, edge, vertex. All right, so down below here, they want you to tell them how many faces, edges, and vertices a rectangular prism has, and how many faces, edges, and vertices a cube has. So you can go ahead and you can draw on here as you're going, or maybe highlight over it so you know you already counted it. Or once again, if you have like a dice or something at home, grab your dice, hold it still, and then you can count around. Don't start turning it because you're going to start counting the same sides more than once, but hold it still and that might help you. And then for like a rectangular prism, if you have like a shoebox or a Ziploc container, something like that, that would help you count that. And you'll just record that on page 712. And then page 713, all of it is crossed out. So you are going to go on to page 714. All right, at the top of the page on 714, it says, Marcus traced around the faces of a three-dimensional shape. Circle the name of the shape he used. So he traced around all the faces of his three-dimensional shape, and these are the faces he traced. So what shape, what 3D shape over here would have this shape on all their faces? So you circle what shape that would have been that he traced around. And then down below on number 6, you're going to use the words on these tiles here to label the parts of a cube right here. So this picture is actually very similar or identical to that first page, or that's the back of the first page that we did when we were introducing what faces, edges, and vertices were. So you can turn back to that and that will help you figure out which one goes where. And so you'll just write those words right there. And then down below, it says describe the faces of a cube. So what that means is give me some information you know about the faces on a cube. Maybe you want to tell me how many, maybe you want to tell me what a face is, like what the definition of a face is when you're describing a 3D shape. Then you'll go to page 715. It says circle the set of shapes that are the faces of the three-dimensional shape. So that means if you were to take this rectangular prism here and you traced around all of the sides, okay, all the sides you traced around them, would you get these shapes here, or would you get these shapes here if you traced around all these sides? And then you're going to do the same thing for the cube. If you traced around all the sides of a cube, would you get these shapes here or these shapes here? And then number 3, Kevin keeps his marbles in a container that has the shape of a cube. All right. He wants to paint each face a different color. So he wants to paint this side a different color, this side a different color, this side, all the sides a different color. How many different paint colors is he going to need if he wants to make every side of this container a different color? And then you do not need to do number 4. All right, number 1, how many faces does a cube have? Number 2, how many faces does a rectangular prism have? Number 3, what time is shown on this clock? Number 4, circle the cone. And number 5, use the line plot, how many books are 8 inches long? So lengths of books in inches is down here. You figure out how many books were 8 inches long. And that is lesson 11.2.